Welcome to Unhinged Magi.
Yes, we did it. We have a microphone.
Yes, look at this. People complained about audio, and we delivered.
That's right. We delivered audio.
You hear that, Internet? You hear that?
That's us.
Do you like it when I do that?
Tickling your ears with his fingers.
Yep.
He's doing it rough.
Yep. There's a giggity in there for sure. No, seriously though, you guys, like everybody acts like everyone on the internet must have like perfect audio, video, clarity. Everything's got to be great.
Your sound quality is terrible.
Yeah.
Your picture-to-picture is kind of grainy. I'm just saying.
I'm going to unsubscribe.
I don't mean to be rude.
But I totally am.
I always love the preferences. I don't mean to be rude.
Yeah,
but
I know.
Your shirt sucks. I mean, it's just, that kind of stuff.
I don't mean to be rude, but your parents never should have had you.
Yeah.
So anyways, on the topic. So yeah, we had some people complaining about like audio, video, lighting, things like that.
Which we have no problem. Please let us know.
Yes, we need the feedback actually. So I'm giving it a hard time, but I do actually need to hear when it's bad.
Exactly. So we want to improve. We always want to get better and better instead of getting worse and worse. And if we want worse quality, we can give that.
Yeah, in my own defense, there was a lot of things going on for a while. Like, we kept changing the area we were filming at.
Yeah.
Because, your family got sick, and then we had to make sure things were okay, and then things were constantly moving around and stuff. But now we've got more equipment. We're kind of figuring out the setup. There's a new camera there. There's a new microphone there.
There's a new camera over here. You can't see it. It's right here. I'm pointing at it right now. Can you see it?
No.
Okay, well. You'll just have to trust.
I don't know what he's talking about. Okay, so we're like a minute in. So we are going to talk about Modern as a format. Can it be fixed? Is it ever going to be fixed? Is it broken? Is it just going to suck? Is it going to get better?
Is it just going to get deleted and you can throw out all your cards and set them on fire?
I think everybody's been doing that, actually. I've heard a lot of people say they're getting rid of Modern cards.
It was a really hard winter, and thus they had to set them on fire in Texas.
Yep, see, there you go. Texas got really cold.
So there's less Modern cards in Texas.
Everybody had to burn Modern cards in Texas.
But Modern has dried up. It has actually been going down in format structure.
Yeah.
And also, Wizards of the Coast is printing more Modern.
Yeah, I'd say there's two big reasons why Modern is going down, and all the printing is definitely one of them. Because, like, anything that had any value, Wizards is like, okay, we can take these 20 cards. We'll put this one in this set, this one in this set, this one in this set, right? Just to give those chase cards.
Yeah, and Timmy loves this card. Let's throw that in there, too.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and get some Desolate Lighthouses in there so they can also pull some gank.
Yep. And they're like, we don't look at the secondary market. Whatever.
Liars.
Yeah, that is such a lie.
Yep.
So yeah, the printing is definitely one reason why Modern took a big knock in the chin. But I think the other huge reason, and I don't play Modern a ton, so I'm not going to speak about the format with a ton of experience. But from what I saw, it looked to me like the whole metagame from Modern got very niche. It got very shoved into you have to play this kind of deck or forget it. There's all these types of archetypes of decks you just couldn't do. They weren't really viable in Modern.
That's true. So if you're actually only having a niche deck and only a certain amount of people can actually make niche decks and win tournaments, it's going to draw less and less people because a lot of people who play Magic the Gathering want to be creative. Yep. They want to mix it up. They want to make new things. They want to see new decks coming up to the top. They want to see that craziness that is Magic the Gathering.
Yep.
And how can they do that? They can't because they have the same cards that they always have. They always printed.
Yeah, when the whole format is very low-cost instants, low-cost creatures, manamorphos, fetch lands, I'm like, that's all all it is just that. I remember one time when I was still living in Houston, a friend that I worked with named Cody, he showed me this Modern deck, and it was a good deck. But it was 18 land. And he was talking and telling me about it. All I heard was, "Oh my god, 18 land!"
That seems pretty rough.
I don't think I've ever even played a red Sly deck that only had 18 mana sources.
Yeah.
I've gotten away with 20 in a deck one time, but you still got some bad hands occasionally. But a deck with a really low mana curve that's just all burn spells or something. Well, this one was 18. It was ridiculous.
Well,
And
and maybe they finally have gotten it to the point where they won't get mana screwed, and just to have 18 land is fine.
well, it told me very concretely at the time, like there's entire strategies that are like built around mana denial. Like either you blow up lands, or you winter orbit, or you energy flux kind of thing. You shut down artifacts, you shut down creatures, you shut down lands. There's ways to deny mana.
You just shut down.
Yeah, you just shut down ramp. And that apparently just wasn't a thing in Modern at that point. Like, a deck like that with 18 mana sources actually got somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And there's no way it would in a format that was like a good, healthy format. I don't think there's any way.
True. But I still think Mana Screw is still one of those things that's just terrible, and I think should get rid of it out of the gameplay entirely and play a different way of Magic. But that's a different story entirely.
We actually had a whole video about that at the very beginning of our channel where we called it the Double Deck Mana Stack. And we should actually link that video.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah,
that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
For our channel, anyways.
And you know what's interesting is like Dan and I have just started to actually learn how to play Flesh and Blood.
Yes.
Which is actually seems pretty cool. I'm actually enjoying that game so far.
Yeah.
But like it's one of those games where like right off the bat they tried to remove Mana Screw, Mana Flood from something that's an actual aspect of the game. And I'm telling you guys, I've literally said my entire career with Magic the Gathering, I've never thought that was something that added value to Magic.
Yeah.
And I've always been shocked that anyone argues that point. Like, oh no, it's a good thing that occasionally
I've run into
happens.
people that actually have said that it's a good thing, and they've also said it's a great thing for tournaments.
And it's terrible.
What? What the hell are you talking about? Well, yeah, I get the win really easily.
Yeah, it's like you have this game that is so strategy intensive. You have to first, scour the world and find the cards, and then you have to like creatively build the deck, and just tune it just perfectly. And then you have to like learn how to play it. And there's all the strategy in learning to play the deck. And then there's all the strategy in like the way my deck actually interacts with someone else's deck.
Yep.
So there's so much complexity, so much strategy. And then you sit down at a table and you're like, oh, look at that, I got mana screwed, I lost. It's like flip a coin, right?
Yeah. 50-50.
How can that possibly be something that makes sense?
Exactly.
There's no way in my mind.
Here's something that I think is going to happen. From one of the Modern Horizons, maybe Modern Horizon 2, maybe Modern Horizon 3, probably Modern Horizon 3. And if I was Wizards of the Coast, CEO.
Which he should be.
Yes. You know what I always say with people for coding?
Would you like a taco?
Good programmers create, and, well, actually you, the taco sounds good.
Got him.
Sorry. Good programmers create, great programmers steal. And you know what? It's going to be awesome. Because Flesh and Blood has out there, and they have a very balanced way of putting mana on the board. But what if they make a Modern Horizons thing that would shake it up, to shake up Modern? What if they actually used cards that you could pitch to actually create mana?
I think that would have a huge impact on the other formats as well if they did that.
They would,
because there's been a lot of like really big combos that use like Elvish Spirit Guide and then the red version of Elvish Spirit Guide to fuel combo decks and stuff.
Instead of just a few cards, they knew a wide variety of good cards like that. Maybe some that have to sacrifice. And you get like 3 extra blue or something. It would be interesting. It would be interesting, right?
Because like that's the whole thing about like Lotus Petal is effectively that. If you think about it,
exactly.
Lotus Petal is like a card. I mean, you can't do it at any time. You got to put it in play and then sack it. But it's effectively a card you just pitch for like a mana of any color. And like Lotus Petals quickly got restricted in many formats because it was just too abusive.
Too powerful.
Yeah.
Yes. And I guarantee that this is probably, well, I can't guarantee anything. Because I'm not Wizards of the Coast. But if they did that would fix a lot of the mana screw problem. They might even create a new format of Modern.
I just
where
think they
you
should
can pitch your cards and get the mana. What would happen if that happened?
I think that they should just do the double deck mana stack thing.
Of course they should.
It would just work so easily with the current like rules of the game.
Well, I know that. They should do that.
So the question is, for Modern, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Do you think the card values in Modern are going to like long term eventually like ever get better, or are they just going to continue to like go to Pound Town?
Okay, so Wizards of the Coast has 2 things that they could do. If they print right now and then turn the faucets off, then Modern will actually go up in value eventually. Those cards will begin to climb because more players will want the cards. They'll want to play with the cards and that kind of stuff. As demand goes up and they stop printing, it will go up eventually. Right now, master sets are taking a beating. Just an absolute
As they should.
beating. Because of the print runs and because of the print. Double Masters is going up in price, and I don't blame it because there's a lot of freaking rares in that thing.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of freaking mythics in it. And it's so good to get 2, right? But the rest of the master sets are taking a beating.
So I don't know if I completely agree, though, because the concept of what you basically said, works to some degree. I mean, if you shut off the creation of new supply coming into the market with a fixed supply and increasing demand, that is the very thing that makes prices go up. The thing that makes it hard for me to see, though, is if the amount of people going into Modern to play Modern, say that player base just starts to shrink, kind of like what happened to Vintage and Legacy, right? If the player base keeps getting smaller, then it doesn't really matter if they're printing more cards or not because it's a ratio of the cards desired versus the cards available, right? And so if the player base shrinks faster than the card pool, goes through some kind of attrition, then I don't know. I don't think the prices necessarily would go down.
Well, I've always thought that if you actually can add cards that work with current cards of the actual sets. Let's say they created
that could be
if
different.
They created a Modern Horizons 2 card that interacts with Liliana of the Veil specifically, right? And it does some kind of trick to that card specifically, and it generates a good effect. That's what I think they should focus on with Modern Horizons.
So a Lily Hoser.
A Lily Hoser. But they should do it across the spectrum. Like they could actually increase Jace the Mind Sculptors as well. Or even Snappy, where if you cast Snapcaster Mage, another trigger effect happens when you have this other specific card.
See, that's the kind
board.
of thing I thought they were doing when I saw cards like the Elder Spell. And I think that came out in War of the Spark. Yeah, it just destroys any number of Planeswalkers. The fact that it says any number and it was low cost. I just looked at that and thought that's really good. It's a versatile
it's really
card.
Fantastic.
But people didn't seem to play it very much. Maybe it's because I think it was double black or something.
Well,
like that.
no, it's not because it's double black. It's because it's very if you're not playing an opponent who has Planeswalkers.
Oh, dead card.
Dead card.
Yeah, for
However,
sure.
what I think they should do is create a Planeswalker that when it dies, it does something huge to the board. And then that card would actually spike in value because now you can blow it up and get an effect.
Yeah. So I'm with you in theory here. What I think Modern needs is something to shake up that format so the same meta can't be achieved anymore. Something specifically, or many things, that bring it back into a realm of where you can play like an aggro deck, a control deck, a combo deck, all these different variants of decks become viable again. And viable with expensive cards and with cheap cards.
Correct.
So you just kind of, if you can go to a Modern tournament and any one of multiple hundreds of decks could possibly win and take it down, that's healthy. That's a good
because
thing.
then people can be creative again and start doing stuff. I think Mark Rosewater and his team should work towards creating a huge balance to Modern. A huge stabilization to Modern.
Maybe one of the problems with Modern is the same kind of thing that hit Vintage, but maybe they just haven't realized it yet. Maybe Modern had its own version of cards that should have been on the restricted list. Maybe not necessarily banned, but at least restricted. Because it's if certain powerful cards exist, maybe the only way to knock them off the table, because you don't want to make them completely unplayable, because people hate that.
Yeah, of course.
But if you make cards that are so good it pushes those off the table, then maybe you're just making more broken cards, and the problem would just continue going. But maybe cards like Manamorphose and Elfish Spirit Guide and Mox Diamond and things like that, maybe those need to go or something like that.
Maybe
I don't know.
But I think
or at least get restricted.
I think you could probably play around with that. What happens when you do? I think the research and development team could figure out what happens if you kind of restrict or ban certain cards. Just for a time period. Maybe it's a short time period. We're going to ban it for 2 years. You can even give an epic announcement. I still think they should do announcements on we're not going to print these particular cards for a specific number of years like we talked about in another video.
Yeah, I do like that.
I think that would actually help rejuvenate the master boxes.
So it's not a reserve list.
Exactly.
It's more like a temporary reserve list.
Correct.
So like, but it's like expiring. So like for certain time period for each set, they will say like, we are not going to print these cards for like 3 years or something like that.
And we can also guarantee that a particular artwork won't be on that card ever again, making the artwork that is valued to go up in price as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that Modern's never gonna like hit good card prices again. I think that they just destroyed the faith.
Yes, they did. They completely crushed it.
So you agree with that? Then?
I do agree that they completely destroyed it with the printing of Double Masters. I think that just gave a screaming hiccup to the value town, to the secondary market. I think they just kicked it right square where it counts.
But you feel like there's a chance that they could actually rejuvenate the gameplay of Modern.
They have to. They either have to make the gameplay better so they can sell more boxes. Because remember, as CEO, your number one priority is to sell boxes, right? That is the number one priority.
Well, you got to make money.
If you don't sell product, you're not doing it right.
That's right.
And now, so if you're going to make Double Masters and that kind of stuff, and you're going to continue to make that, you're going to kick yourself in the toe really hard, and you're not going to sell boxes. You know what happens when you don't sell boxes? You don't make money. Period. And yes, they have, and
you're not the federal government. You can't call up your central bank friend and say like, "Hey, give us a stimulus, print a bunch of money, let's bail us out." Nope, no, your business just goes out.
So the thing is, I don't care what anybody says at Wizards of the Coast. They have to care about the secondary market. If you don't care about the secondary market, you're stupid.
They should.
Okay, and you should be fired. In fact, I would just say that Hasbro just needs to fire whoever is still there.
Yeah, just Hasbro clean sweep. Just fire everybody.
Yeah,
hire him first,
Mark Rosewater.
and then some other specific people. Just get some new blood in there.
The secondary market is actually the draw to buy your boxes. Pretty much. I mean, it's a big draw.
Yeah,
because people want to save money and that kind of stuff. You put it in the
You
put it in your closet. You wait for it rises, and then you dump it. Right, and people still buy it. Why do they still buy it? Because the cards are still valued.
Yep.
Right, and that's pretty much a thing.
There we go. There's Modern by Unhinged Magi. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. See y'all real soon.
Bye.